Good evening, it's 8 o'clock. And today was a day of grief for families of General Rawat and his wife and Brigadier Leader as their funerals were held today. The funerals of the other people who died in that ill-fated helicopter will be held later because DNA testing is still being done. Today was a day when families grieved and the nation saluted. Today, for General Rawat and his wife, a military farewell. The grandson was there as the two daughters of the Rawats paid special tribute. A gun carriage and crowds lined the final journey route, a 17-gun salute. The daughters performed the last rites for the parents. General Rawat and his wife Madhulika were cremated together. For Brigadier Leader's family also, grief and courage. I am a soldier's wife. We'll give him a smiling send-off, says his courageous wife. His daughter Ashna, who's going to be 17 in a few days, says her father was her best friend. As a family grieves, a nation salutes. The other headlines tonight: 7 new Omicron cases in Maharashtra. We now have 32 in India which have been sequenced. All Omicron cases in India are mild or asymptomatic, says the government. However, they warn that mask usage is down drastically. India cases at 8,503 in the last 24 hours, but vaccinations are up. The Prime Minister addresses a virtual democracy summit organized by the United States. He says that multi-party elections, an independent judiciary and a free media is crucial for a democracy. China is not invited to the US Democracy Summit. As air quality improves, the Supreme Court says consider lifting curbs like those on industry and construction, but no decision yet on opening schools and colleges. The Haryana Chief Minister joins the huge row, saying there should be no namaz in public places, but doesn't answer why his government has not given more places for people to pray. And now right-wing groups are attacking a church. And there for election campaigning, but here's Priyanka's Goa dance moves. Today was the day the nation paid tribute to India's top military officer, General Bipin Rawat and his wife Madhulika. They were cremated together in their last journey as they were in death. Also today, the cremation of Brigadier Leader, who was the defense officer attached to General Rawat. It was a day of grief, tears and remembrance for the families, for the nation, a time to once again appreciate the sacrifice of the men in uniform and their families.
Let's go! As the nation bid farewell to its Chief of Defence Staff, General Bipin Rawat, and his wife, Mrs. Madhulika Rawat. The couple died in an Air Force helicopter crash in Tamil Nadu on Wednesday. The Defence Minister and many military officials, past and present, as well as other dignitaries, paid their tributes. Senior military commanders from neighbouring friendly countries arrived to attend the funeral. As he was chief of all three services, soldiers from the Army, Navy and the Air Force were part of the funeral procession. 6 officers, 2 each from each service, of the rank of Lieutenant General or equivalent, were the pallbearers. Earlier, a particularly poignant moment as the Rawat's grandchild in his mother's arms offered flowers. Political leaders across the spectrum paid tributes before the funeral procession left for Brar Square Crematorium in the Delhi cantonment. Some crowds ran alongside. Many people lined parts of the road. Some threw flowers, waved flags and shouted slogans. The Rawat's daughters, Kritika and Tali, performed the final rites. And from the military, the general's larger family for generations, a 17-gun salute.
A nation thanks General Rawat and his family for their service. Another family, a young, warm family, were left bereft today. His wife, Brigadier Leader's wife, Gitika Leader, and his 16-year-old daughter, Ashna. Their grief and courage impressed the nation. Gitika talked of how she would give her husband a smiling send-off because she was a soldier's wife. His daughter, who will turn 17 in a few days, said her father was a hero, her best friend.
We must give him a good farewell, a smiling send-off. I'm a soldier's wife.
मेरे पापा हीरो थे, मेरे बेस्ट फ्रेंड थे.
Heart-wrenching scenes at the funeral of Brigadier Leader, General Bipin Rawat's top aide. His daughter Ashna fighting back tears as his wife Gitika knelt by her husband's coffin and kissed it. A family displaying amazing bravery and composure on what was perhaps the worst day of their lives.
He was larger than life, everybody knows that. मतलब आप देख ही रहे हैं कितने लोग फेयरवेल में आए. बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छा persona था उनका, बहुत दोस्त थे. But we must give him a good farewell, a smiling send-off. I'm a soldier's wife. He's a very good father, very good father. My child will really miss him. So it's a big loss.
His daughter, just short of 17, remembered a father who was her whole life.
I'm going to be 17. तो 17 years वो जो हमारे साथ थे, जितनी यादें उनको साथ लेके ही चल रहे हैं. It's a national loss. My father, मेरे पापा हीरो थे, मेरे best friend थे. Maybe it's destined and better things will come our way.
Brigadier leader's NDA batchmate and former Union Minister Rajavardhan Rathore recalled a friend from when they were both just 16.
राष्ट्रीय रक्षा अकादमी में जब हम 16 साल की उम्र में गए थे तब से लेकर अभी तक हम सबसे ब्राइटेस्ट फौजी ऑफिसर और भारत की सेना में मेजर जनरल की रैंक उनको मिल चुकी थी और उनका पूरा करियर आगे था.
Defence Minister Rajnath Singh, NSA Ajit Doval and Haryana Chief Minister ML Khattar also paid their respects to Brigadier Leader, who was in line to be Major General. The Chiefs of Staff of the Army, Navy and Air Force also paid tribute, marching in a solemn sequence to lay a wreath at his feet. Bureau Report, NDTV.
And all of us at NDTV salute the men who lost their lives and their families who stand so bravely today. The investigation is currently on what exactly caused that chopper crash. Today the weather's cleared, so the trees are being cleared and the investigation and senior officers are at the crash site.
This was the last time the chopper was reportedly seen before the crash. The Chief of Defence Staff General Rawat, his wife and 11 others were killed. The Indian Air Force in a statement has said it's constituted a tri-services court of inquiry to investigate, which would be completed expeditiously, and till then uninformed speculation may be avoided. Woodcutters were brought in to cut the trees to free the mangled chopper. Drones were deployed and a 3D mapping of the area was carried out. As a mark of respect, commercial establishments and hotels were shut in Ooty. The DGP accompanied the local police who have been a part of the investigation and thanked the people of Kateri village for helping the crash victims.
அந்த மூணு பேருமே பேசிட்டு கூட இருக்காங்க. அவங்கள உடனடியாக ஆம்புலன்ஸ் கொண்டு வந்து அனுப்பி வச்சிருக்காங்க. அதுக்காக நஞ்சப்பஞ்சத்திரம் ஊர் மக்களுக்கு நாங்க நன்றி தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறோம்.
In Bengaluru, Group Captain Varun Singh, who was shifted from military hospital in Wellington to Air Force Command Hospital in the city, his condition continues to remain critical.
ಒಬ್ಬರೇ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಬದುಕಿ ಉಳಿದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ದೇವರ ದಯದಿಂದ. ಅವರ ನಾನು ನೋಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಏರ್ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ಕಮಾಂಡ್ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೆ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಳ ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮವಾದಂಥ ಒಂದು ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ರೀತಿಯ ಸೌಕರ್ಯ ಇರುವಂಥ ಒಂದು ಮಿಲಿಟರಿ ಹಾಸ್ಪಿಟಲ್, ಎಲ್ಲ ರೀತಿಯ ಉತ್ತಮವಾದಂಥ ಚಿಕಿತ್ಸೆ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಭಾಳ ಪರಿಣಿತ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅವರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
In Kateri, with camera person Kumar, Shrija for NDTV.
Let's just look at the other big headlines and the latest on Omicron. India has now reported 32 cases of Omicron. The government, however, said that none of the patients have severe symptoms. In fact, they're all either mild or asymptomatic. There's 7 new Omicron cases in Maharashtra today, 3 Omicron cases from Mumbai, 4 from Pimpri, and 2 more cases also reported today in Gujarat. The government said since the 1st of December, 93 international passengers have tested positive of the thousands that have come in, and of the 93, 83 were from countries designated at risk. So let's just look at the map breakup. So Maharashtra has the most cases of the Omicron variant, but this could be because of better genome sequencing, followed by Rajasthan, Gujarat, Karnataka 2, and 1 person in Delhi. Let's just go across to Saurabh. Saurabh, so we're seeing a sudden jump in the numbers in Maharashtra. Well, one, of course, it's one of the busiest airports in India, and the genome sequencing there seems to be much more advanced than other cities.
Absolutely, the city of Mumbai has its own genome sequencing labs, apart from the lab in Pune, the National Institute of Virology lab in Pune. So there is, of course, a lot of genome sequencing exercise that are going on. But specifically coming to the cases today, one of the persons has been located in Dharavi, and officials say that he was traced before he could actually mingle with the community, and 2 others who came in contact with him have also been isolated. So at some times, it's almost becoming impossible for officials to keep track, but at this point, everyone who's arriving at the airport is being tested. If they test positive, then genome sequencing is compulsory, and that's what's happening. But also, Dharavi, one case, but the other thing is, of course, a child, 3.5-year-old child, has also tested positive and also found to be, a person who's contracted the Omicron variant. And that is, of course, something, but the fact is that the doctors say that he's doing well, he's keeping well. So obviously the fact that there's a fear of children being affected by new variants is something that is very much on the minds of the doctors, which is why they are keeping a very keen eye on him, and that's something, at least so far, that's not gone bad yet. He's still doing fine.
No, and I think that's a good news. We already had Maharashtra's first Omicron patient discharged from hospital, and as the government said that all cases are mild, and our overall numbers so far remaining low, but of course we have to be very careful on this. We are at just over 8,500 in the last 24 hours, so that's good news. That's 9.72% down. The deaths in the last 24 hours are 624, but that's because a major backlog of deaths has been added. So actually many of the states now, death numbers have really climbed with them adding this backlog. The vaccination rate is over 72 lakhs. The tests are up slightly, which is good. The daily positivity rate remains below 1%. So the government today in a press conference has said that all Omicron cases in India are extremely mild or asymptomatic, and that vaccinations are up, which is good news. But they also warned that mask usage has fallen drastically, and we have to watch out for that.
There are 9 more Omicron cases in India, but all the confirmed cases have mild symptoms. And even though just 83 out of over 58,000 passengers have tested positive for COVID, the government is bracing for a rise in cases. States have been asked to ensure seamless hospitalizations and sufficient ambulances, 2 crisis points in the devastating second wave.
अभी तक जो भी ओमिक्रॉन पॉजिटिव केसेस देश में डिटेक्ट किए गए हैं, उनमें मुख्यतः माइल्ड सिम्टम्स ही पाए गए हैं। हमने स्टेट से यह भी कहा है कि बहुत जरूरी है कि जिस पेशेंट को हॉस्पिटलाइजेशन की जरूरत है, उसको एक सीमलेस प्रोसेस एस्टैब्लिश किया जाए ताकि वह एक पारदर्शी पद्धति से अपने आप को हॉस्पिटल एडमिशन के प्रोसेस को फॉलो अप कर सके।
Maharashtra reported 7 new cases today and now has a total of 17 cases, highest in India. However, vaccinations are picking up. In December, the average number of daily vaccinations is now about 76%, the same as the peak seen last September. But there's still no decision when vaccinations for children will begin. South Africa has reported that kids are seeing a much higher rate of infection after Omicron. 53.5% adult population is fully vaccinated, which is far below European nations, which are seeing a surge in COVID cases. A subject expert committee which held a meeting today on a booster has not given any recommendation yet. Meanwhile, the government says the focus right now remains vaccination of entire adult population.
देश में हमारे पास 2 एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप है, एक है नेगवाक और एक है इंटागी। हमें हमारा देश के साइंटिस्ट पर भरोसा है, दुनिया भी हमारे साइंटिस्ट की सलाह लेते हैं। जब हमारे साइंटिस्ट कहेंगे तब हम ये पॉलिसी को आगे बढ़ाएंगे।
With the steady rise of Omicron cases in the country, the government is now targeting to vaccinate the entire adult population as soon as possible. But to achieve its earlier target of vaccinating the entire adult population, by the end of this year, the government will have to vaccinate more than 44 million doses every day, almost 5 times these doses that were administered on average this month. In New Delhi, Akshay Dongre, NDTV.
And the whole point is that no country can stay isolated from this new variant. Currently, there are close to 3,000 confirmed cases of Omicron detected globally. But remember, many countries don't have the genome sequencing needed to identify this. So far, 570 cases in 9 countries across Africa. But Europe is rapidly confirming many more cases daily. Over 1,700 Omicron cases reported in UK and 4 countries across Europe. In fact, the United Kingdom, which has the best genome sequencing, now has the highest number of Omicron cases globally, followed by Denmark, South Africa, Canada and the United States. Well, in other news, the Prime Minister participated in the Summit for Democracy today at the invitation of the United States President. China was not invited to the summit hosted by the US and President Biden.
The structural features like multi-party elections, independent judiciary, and free media are important instruments of democracy. However, the basic strength of democracy is the spirit and ethos that lie within our citizens and our society. We must also jointly shape global norms for emerging technologies like social media and cryptocurrencies, so that they are used to empower democracy, not to undermine it.
Well, the Prime Minister stressing the importance of free media, so shout out to NDTV there. Meanwhile, Haryana Chief Minister of the BJP, ML Khattar, has said that namaz prayers, Friday prayers in open spaces won't be allowed in Gurugram, Haryana. Yet, the point is that the government hasn't given enough mosques for people to offer prayers either. Also, this comes as another right-wing group attacked a church in Haryana, allegedly on charges of conversion. The police for once intervened and said there was no proof of these charges.
खुले में ऐसा कार्यक्रम नहीं होना चाहिए। ये नमाज पढ़ने की जो प्रथा यहाँ खुले में हुई है, ये कतई भी सहन नहीं की जाएगी, लेकिन इसमें से उन साथ बैठ करके एमिकेबल सोल्यूशन निकाला जाएगा। उन्होंने भी कहा कि बहुत सी हमारे पास ज़मीनें हैं जहाँ हमें अनुमति दी जाए, या कुछ ज़मीनें ऐसी हैं जो उनकी अपनी ज़मीन होगी या वक़फ़ की होगी, उसमें कहीं अनक्रोच्ड एरिया है, वो भी कैसे उनको उपलब्ध कराया जा सके, और या फिर अपने घर में नमाज पढ़ें।
Slogans by right-wing groups outside a church in Rohtak. The modus operandi is the same. The Hindutva outfits making threats based on unproven allegations of illegal conversion.
गरीब लोग हैं, उनको पैसे के नाम पे, खाना खिलाने के नाम पे या उनका इलाज करने के नाम पे उनको बहला फुसलाकर उनका धर्म परिवर्तन जोर शोर से किया जा रहा है। हम लोगों ने उनको रोकने की कोशिश करी। हम लोगों ने, हमारा जो प्रयास था वो बिल्कुल जो है सौहार्दपूर्ण था।
The district administration though says they checked out the allegations of conversion and found no proof.
हमें एक शिकायत मिली थी कि ऐसा कुछ हो सकता है, उसकी हमने पड़ताल करी, ऐसा कुछ नहीं पाया। कांग्रेगेशन थी जिसके लिए इजाजत नहीं ली गई थी, पुलिस से भी नहीं ली गई थी और हमसे भी नहीं ली गई थी, इसलिए उनको कांग्रेगेशन उनकी बर्खास्त करवा दी गई थी।
The members of the church denied these allegations, urging them to increase the security in the wake of Christmas.
विवाद उन लोगों के झूठे आरोप थे कि चर्चों के द्वारा धर्म परिवर्तन हो रहा है। हालांकि इस बात में ना तो पुलिस को कोई किसी भी तरह का कोई प्रूफ या सबूत मिला है। उन्होंने भी हमें बताया कि आप आगे की सभाओं के लिए एक बार जानकारी दें, गाइडलाइंस फॉलो करें, तो आपको कोई इशू नहीं होगा।
Be it the disruption during Friday prayers in Gurugram or the recent church incident in Rohtak district, the government maintains that law will take its own course.
मेरे संज्ञान में नहीं है, अगर कहीं ऐसा हो तो कानून अपना काम करेगा।
The Haryana government is planning to bring an anti-conversion law to check forced conversion, but such disruptions during prayers have increased in the state. With Mohammad Ghazali, Bureau Report, NDTV.
Well, the Supreme Court today told the Central Air Quality Management Commission that they could look at relaxing curbs and restrictions like those against industry and the construction ban which is currently on. They said that this is based on a report on improving air quality. However, no decision has been made yet on schools. The court has said that they expect the Air Quality Commission to take a call in 1 week. Well, the Congress's election campaign in Goa began with Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, and along with the elections and people leaving the party, there was also Priyanka's dancing with women of the tribal community.